And in this case, it's cheese. So this is mozzarella cheese. And in Italy, you get it either as cow's milk cheese or you get it as buffalo milk.
Yes, which I don't highly recommend if it's imported into this country because it's always pasteurized and just doesn't taste the same.
Yeah, but buffalo milk mozzarella is very perishable, so you have to eat it, as they say in Italian, da giornata, on the day it's made. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to fry these up, John. So I'm going to dip them in flour. This is much like making a chicken cutlet that you do at home. So I'm going to do them in flour. You're going to beat up the eggs, and then we have breadcrumbs. And so all you do,
to be too loud.
Yeah, all you do is dry off the bocconcini so that they're not so waterlogged because you're putting them in oil. And then you dip them in flour. This is a great antipasto, I think, for a party, you know, because we're going to serve these with a little bit of fresh tomato sauce. All right, that's good. Put a little salt in there, would you please, because this doesn't have a lot of salt.
Yeah, I was going to ask about, do you season the salt and do you season the pepper?
Yeah, a little salt and pepper. And then why don't you turn those around in there with a spoon. And I think that you're thinking about some kind of maybe red wine that's going to go with this, because I said tomato sauce. And I'll go a couple more here.
Well, the thing is, you know, we had that wonderful Prosecco, which could continue. If you're having a bunch of antipasti, which at the beginning, you could have that wine, or even a white wine. But I think because we're going to be having the surprise of the basil and the tomato sauce here, that we want a red wine, because red wine has heart to it. It has much more flavor, because red grapes, well, red grapes can make white wine, you know, but red grapes have tannin in them. So what I've chosen here is a wine called Centine.
Centine.
And Centine is a Tuscan wine from the Castello Banfi people. And I should say, truth in advertising, that my name is John Mariani. The president of Banfi is named John Mariani.
Isn't that a coincidence?
Yeah, but we are not the same person, unfortunately. He's got helicopters and estates. And
you just have a car.
I just have a car.
Okay, well.
I live in it. And anyway, this is an interesting wine because in Italy, they have very strict wine laws as to what can go into a bottle in Tuscany. If it's going to say Chianti, it has to have certain grapes and so forth. Well, a lot of great winemakers in Italy didn't want to make things according to those rules. They thought we could make more interesting wines, better wines. So they, instead of calling it vino da tavola, table wine, they came up with IGT, which means Indicazione Geografica Tipica, typical of the region.
You said that so beautifully.
Grazie, signora.
Okay,
so
grazie a
this
lei.
has in it, this is a 2007 vintage, this has Sangiovese, which is very much a Tuscan grape, which goes into most Tuscan wines, red wines. And then it has some Cabernet and some Merlot, which softens it. Cabernet gives it more tannin, so it's going to be a really lovely red wine to have with these bocconcini.
Okay, so here I've got them all breaded now. So now what I want to do is drop them in oil. Now this is a real good thing to use, a spider.
What kind of oil do you use?
I'm using, this is like a sunflower oil. You don't want to use olive oil for this because it would be just too heavy for this. And this is obviously something that you're going to eat warm. So we're going to put those right into our pan. Just like that.
And
let
the
them
degree,
bubble
the
up.
temperature on the
375. You want to make sure, if you're not using a food thermometer, make sure that's at 375. You want to make sure there's not a lot of moisture on those bocconcini when you start, because you see what happens. So now, I think you ought to get the wine glasses, because this you got to eat hot. And when they are nicely browned, and you see it doesn't take very long at all. Look at those.
Beautiful.
I'm going to take them out and put them right on my paper here to drain.
If they're not as golden as that, they're going to be mushy. They're not going to be crisp.
They're going to be mushy, right.
So you don't want really golden, you want golden brown.
You want golden brown.
Golden brown.
So let me put these here and show you how that goes. Okay, there's one. And you can throw in a few of those basil leaves, but stand back, because what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a little tomato sauce with it. Wow! Didn't I say stand back?
I do everything you tell me, yes. I will in the future, at least.
Let me turn this off now, because we have tomato sauce. And this is how this goes. You put a little smidge, see right there, on a plate. And then you come over here and you take a few of those bocconcini, 2 or 3.
Oh, can you imagine with
like
those Italian waiters with the silver platters and the white gloves bringing these around to your friends? This would be great.
Yeah, and then
how many Italian waiters do you have at home?
You take out these. You got to stand back when you do this, because this is You know, you've got water in the leaves, so you got to be real careful with this. Only an experienced cook would do this.
Maybe this is not so good to try at home.
Well, you know, you have to, you got to use your head here. Little experience counts. So then you take those beautiful leaves and you put them right there, let them cool off somewhat. And let me get you a fork, because here you are. Isn't that beautiful?